Hey, this is Marv from Pods Like Us, the show where we help you to find your next podcast addiction. And you're listening to Trimming the Musical Fat, a show where Paul and Stephen tell you all you need to know about and more about the music that you love.
What's that smell?
Oh, that would be me. I've been swimming in raw sewage. I love it. I love it. That's the signal. Let's go. Do it.
So take off your raspberry beret and settle down for another episode of Trimming the Musical Fat, the podcast where we trim albums that are too damn long. I'm Stephen Nicholson.
And I'm Paul Nicholson.
And together with our guest, we're going to be taking our invisible scissors to the Minneapolis Marvel, Prince and his 1991 album, Diamonds and Pearls. What's going to make the under 50-minute single vinyl TTMF supercut of the album? Cream? Get Off? Thunder? Push? Keep listening to find out. We'll also find some time to share some Prince jokes, talk about seeing him live, revisit the 1990s, hear archive interview clips, share our favourite Prince songs, and answer as many questions about the great man as we can in only 3 minutes. It's time to introduce our guest. He's a man who likes to party like it's 1999. It's Marv from Pods Like Us. So how are you, Marv?
I've stepped onto the dance floor.
And you're cutting some funky shapes. So how does it feel to be travelling back to the early 1990s?
I've got my platform boots on and my shoulder pads prepared.
Good. Have you got your rave whistle as well in mouth, ready to blow?
Well, it wouldn't be a party without that, would it?
We certainly wouldn't. So we're talking Prince today. What's your level of fandom when it comes to Prince?
I have most of Prince's material, on the CDs that have come out, including the Black Album.
Yeah, are you a fan of that particular album?
It's an acquired taste.
It
It's one of those where I listen to it sometimes and I'll think, oh, and then sometimes I think, oh, this is brilliant. So it's one of those where it depends on what mood I'm in as to how I feel about the album.
Yeah, I suppose I should explain for those that don't know what the Black Album is. So Prince recorded an album of material which was going to be released in 1987, which was a bit more risque and harder hitting than maybe his previous material. And essentially, just before it was about to be released, he decided to pull it from release, and it became one of the great unreleased bootlegs. And if you ever got a copy of it, I know I got one on vinyl from a shop somewhere a couple of years afterwards. It was like gold tracking that down. So yeah, and he eventually did give it an official release at some point in the 1990s. But what was on there again? Bob George, Cindy C. Do you want to play with me? And I think When Two Are in Love, which eventually came out on Love Sexy album.
Super funky, califragisexy.
Oh, that was good. Check out Bob George. That is something else. I do like that one. Do you remember what was the first Prince record CD or cassette you ever bought?
I think Diamonds and Pearls is the first album that I bought by Prince, I think. And there's a story behind this. So I was working in a recording studio at the time, and the manager of the studio, we were chatting, and I was talking about, rap music, the possibility, because at the time I was starting in a band where we were doing like Red Hot Chili Peppers songs and some Rage Against, actually Rage Against the Machine might have been a bit later. And the studio manager said to me, he said, well, what do you think of Prince? And I said, well, what I've heard of Prince, I've enjoyed, like the Little Red Corvette and, the classic songs from before then. I might have heard Starfish and Coffee by then from Sign of the Times somewhere as well, which I think is a hidden gem on that album.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm going on a tangent here, but the Starfish and Coffee with the that he performed on Sesame Street is a fantastic video to watch. That is great. I love that performance. He said to me, oh, you should try Prince. And I'm going, oh, Prince, rapping, what's that all about? Because if you've only heard the famous songs, you wouldn't realise, just the singles that hit the charts, top spot and the top 10. So he said to me, well, try this album, Diamonds and Pearls, and then work your way around there. I bought it, loved the album immediately, and it's stuck with me ever since. And since then, I've got everything that I can around that, including difficult to get old albums like Planet Earth?
Planet Earth, yeah.
That's got the fantastic song Guitar on it with that awesome guitar work that brings to mind songs like Peach and songs like that have awesome guitar work.
Love it.
And I've got Musicology. Unfortunately, I missed out on having a copy of Crystal Ball, and I really do want a copy of that. I think the Prince estate are working on bringing all this stuff out actually for the masses, which is a good thing. But so that's how I was introduced to Prince and the first album that I bought.
Hey, thanks for that. And I know Planet Earth was a strange one, because that was given away in the UK, at least with, I'm sure, a Sunday newspaper. I can't remember which one, but I remember getting my copy of it through that newspaper. And I was lucky enough to see guitar played live, and it was superb.
Nice.
It was very nice. Do you remember the newspaper?
Yes, it's the only reason I bought the Mail on Sunday that week, was to get that.
Yeah, same here. And Paul, what about I think you're more of a kind of casual level of fandom, aren't you, when it comes to Prince?
Yeah, probably. Obviously, knew as kind of the most well-known songs, the singles in the 80s up to the 90s, and I guess I heard a lot of it from you because you were a big fan.
Yep.
And I always liked the Batman theme, but I always liked the video version because it was longer. I loved the guitar solos,
the album one
compared to the single version.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got like a compilation album, but I know quite a lot of the songs. Probably from hearing them from your room.
Yeah. Well, I think, as you allude to, I'm a big fan and have been since the late 80s. And I think the first thing I can remember buying was a cassette single. Remember them? Bat Dance. So yeah, Bat Dance, the edited version on one side, and 200 Balloons, which was an unreleased track on the B-side. Good song. But yeah, I was gutted that it was the kind of edited version on the cassette single, because, as Paul says, the full album one with that guitar solo on it. Oh my god, so good. So yeah, that was it. But yeah, so I became a fan properly in 1989, and then started working back the way, buying stuff, while also buying his his releases that came after that.
Gearing up to launch a new album and a tour right now is Prince, whose upcoming LP Diamonds and Pearls will unveil his latest band.
Prince stopped by his label Warner Brothers Records last week to give staffers a sneak preview of his upcoming Diamonds and Pearls album.
I'm Diamond and this is Pearl.
The musical message here is racial harmony. The sky seems to be the limit as to ways you'll be able to see and hear Prince's new video, Diamonds and Pearls.
Prince. But now the new power generation is in effect.
Welcome to the new power generation. You put all these geniuses together and this is what you get.
It's a tale of the tape. Diamonds and Pearls, the 13th studio album from Prince, and the first to feature his new backing band, the New Power Generation. Released in October 1991, it was preceded by the singles Get Off and Cream. This was the follow-up to the previous year's critical and commercially disappointing Graffiti Bridge album and movie.
The next film, and it's the new romantic musical film from the rock star Prince. It's called Graffiti Bridge, and it's quite awful. An extended music video about a battle between two musical stars over their respective nightclubs, their approach to music, and also over a beautiful woman. Prince plays a character called The Kid, modeled after his character in his first movie, Purple Rain. Here he is performing at the club. Competing with Prince is Morris Day, also from Purple Rain. His own nightclub is Red Hot, and he is also part owner of Prince's club. Morris Day doesn't like Prince's new musical act.
People tell me you've been making that spiritual noise again. You know, I can't make no money that way.
If you ever gave it a chance, one day you would.
That dialogue is so awkward and stilted, and the woman we saw in the reaction shot there, she has an empty role. There's a whole lot I can't believe about Graffiti Bridge. The spirituality battle is lame. Prince is not the least bit appealing when he isn't singing. And actually, in performance there, I didn't think he was particularly exciting. Morris Day isn't as funny as he was in Purple Rain. In fact, if you remember, we both liked Purple Rain so much, I now have to wonder if that film was a fluke.
Purple Rain had so much energy, so much passion, so much conviction. Those are three qualities that are lacking here.
Right.
And one thing this movie doesn't have from beginning to end is an electrifying song and dance sequence that really takes off and carries you with it. It's a real flat, low-energy film.
Prince is shot in the fog a lot of time. In fact, the whole picture is foggy. Coming up next, The Craze.
The album was produced by Prince. The cover album photography was by Randy St. Nicholas, and there are 13 songs on it. They are Thunder, Daddy Pop, Diamonds and Pearls, Cream, Strollin', Willing and Able, Get Off, Walk, Don't Walk, Jughead, Money Don't Matter Tonight, Push, Insatiable, and Live for Love. The album is 66 minutes in duration, which means we need to lose at least 16 minutes today. It was originally released as a single cassette and single CD, but as a double album on vinyl. There were 6 singles released from it, and they are Get Off, Cream, Diamonds and Pearls, Insatiable, which was in the US only, Money Don't Matter Tonight, and Thunder, which was a UK-only release. So I'll maybe, before I pass over to Paul, I'll ask you guys a question. We asked actually the Trimming the Musical Fat Facebook group what their favourite single from the album was. What do you reckon was the most popular?
Possibly the title track, Diamonds and Pearls itself.
Okay, Diamonds and Pearls. What about you, Paul?
Cream.
All right, yep. The joint favourites were Get Off and Diamonds and Pearls, with, in second place, Cream. So you were nearly there, Paul.
At the time of the album's release, the reviews were more leavened, but still not overly positive. It was number 36 in that year's Paz and Jock poll of critics between Dave Alvin and Dinosaur Jr. Number 1 was Nevermind, of course.
Hey.
And Robert Christgau seems to have liked it somewhat. It got basically positive reviews in Rolling Stone and in the NME, but Entertainment Weekly's David Brown declared that the imp keeps spinning his wheels. In the Philadelphia Inquirer, Tom Moon called it horrendously basic. There you go.
That's harsh, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. Apparently, a lot of the reviews, kind of in hindsight, looking back and stuff, they don't think it's aged well. Quite a lot of the reviews as well.
I can see where they're coming from with that. Yep, I think not to jump too far ahead. I think because of it was a very distinct change of style, a very current style on that album, and I think it is maybe his 80s stuff has aged better than this.
The album sold 7 million copies worldwide, which was almost 3 times the amount of its predecessor, Graffiti Bridge. And it got to number 2 in the UK album charts and number Billboard album chart. And the certifications for the album were in the UK, it went platinum 3 times and platinum twice in the US. In terms of equivalent album sales from Chartmaster, the album had an extra 40,000 onto it, which was 3 times that of Graffiti Bridge. And the most streamed song on the album, with over 11,000 streams, was Cream. Yeah, what a massive difference though from the previous album, like night and day.
Well, I think if memory serves, the album itself is his second biggest seller studio album of all time, behind Purple Rain. So it was a big success for him.
Mm-hmm.
The big problem that there is that Graffiti Bridge was essentially a transitional album. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of almost like it was stuck between 2 worlds, where he still had the old and he had the new. I mean, he's even got the new Power Generation on there for 2 or 3 songs on Graffiti Bridge, but then you've also got the remnants of the Revolution from previous on there as well, and he got a bit. I think he's got is the Time on there as well.
The Time's on there,
the Morris Day group, and so. It's almost as though it's a complicated album because you can't fix on one specific thing. It's almost like a compilation essentially, as opposed to, or a compilation of groups, as opposed to a single feel to the whole thing all the way through.
Yeah,
which makes it difficult for the average listener. Whereas for Prince fans like us, I mean, we'd get ready for the pun. We'd probably get off on that.
I think Graffiti Bridge. See if you just took maybe the 10 best Prince-only songs from Graffiti Bridge. What an album!
We're going to do the decade, the 90s, the worldwide best-selling singles, albums, and top 10 grossing movies of the decade as well. So we're going to start with the singles for the 90s worldwide. So at number 10 is Candle in the Wind 97 by Elton John. At number 9 is Baby Hit Me One More Time by Britney Spears. Number 8 is Believe by Cher. At number 7 is Bop by Hanson. At number 6 is Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. At number 5 is Vogue by Madonna. At number 4 is I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. At number 3 is My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. At number 2 is Nothing Compares to You, Sinead O'Connor. And the number 1 song is, I think everybody's probably guessed it, Everything I Do It For You by Bryan Adams.
Wow. I'm guessing this is in the UK.
No, worldwide.
Oh, worldwide.
Yeah,
wow.
This is all the worldwide, yeah.
That's in women very well represented, aren't they? I think 6 out of the 10 tracks.
Yeah.
At least we've got a bit of Prince in there. Obviously, he wrote Nothing Compares to You.
That's right, yeah. And probably half of them have been in films as well, or from movie soundtracks.
Yes.
Bryan Adams, Celine Dion, Whitney, Gangster's Paradise.
Madonna as well.
Madonna.
Was that? I don't know if Vogue was in Dick Tracy, but it was on the Dick Tracy album.
It was on the soundtrack, yeah. So over half were from soundtracks.
Interesting. Any favourites in there, Marv?
Dare I say that I only bought one of those on single, and I don't own it anymore.
Is that Celine Dion, is it?
No, it's the one you've just mentioned, actually, before that. It's Vogue.
Vogue's a brilliant song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
Brilliant song. Yeah. I think I bought quite a few. Actually, I did buy Elton John and Britney. What else? Coolio. I remember buying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Coolio, great song.
Yeah, absolutely. Great sample as well. That from
Stevie Wonder, isn't it?
Stevie Wonder,
Yeah.
There are some great songs.
Pastime Paradise.
Pastime Paradise, yeah.
Yep.
The great Stevie Wonder.
But, and then Baby One More Time, you've got fantastic cover version by, is it Travis?
Travis,
yeah, it's a good one, yeah. Okay, so we'll now go into the top 10 selling albums of the decade worldwide. So at number 10 is What's the Story Morning Glory by Oasis. At number 9 is Unplugged by Eric Clapton. At number 8, everybody's favourite, Celine Dion, Falling Into You. At number 7 is Achtung Baby by U2. At number 6 is Automatic for the People by R.E.M. At number 5 is Supernatural by Santana. At number 4 is the self-titled album Metallica. At number 3 is the Bodyguard soundtrack from Whitney Houston. At number 2 is Nevermind from Nirvana. And number 1 is Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. There you go.
I've got 6 of those.
I think 7. I'll take your 6 and I'll raise you 1.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised Alanis Morissette was number 1.
I know I am as well.
Is this changed to Bidding the musical fan?
Yeah, I know. Don't give me ideas. But there's some great stuff in there, isn't there? I mean, a couple of my favourite albums in there: Achtung Baby, Automatic for the People, Metallica, and Nevermind. Actually, I think Jagged Little Pill is brilliant.
Good,
Oasis, of course, and then you get the surprise stuff in there.
Santana,
and Eric Clapton's.
They were really big at the time. Like Eric Clapton was massive at the time, like in America. I think Santana's probably bigger in America.
Achtung Baby is possibly my favourite U2 album.
Yeah, same here.
Me too, yeah.
That's an incredible album.
For me, the best album on that list is Nevermind.
That's an album that I actually, for somebody who did, I mean, we did do a couple of cover versions of them back in the day, but it's an album that grew on me over time. I didn't initially get the whole album, as in, get into it as much.
A few people
until quite a few years later.
So we'll go on to now the crossing movies of the 1990s worldwide. So at number 10 is Armageddon. At number 9 is Men in Black. At number 8 is The Lost World, Jurassic Park. At number 7 is Sixth Sense. At number 6 is Forrest Gump. At number 5 is Independence Day. At number 4 is The Lion King. At number 3 is Star Wars The Phantom Menace. At number 2 is Jurassic Park. And number 1 is Titanic. There you go. What do you think of those films? Any surprises?
One of those I have never seen.
Oh, can we guess?
Try and guess.
Armageddon.
The Lion King.
Yes, well done. Lion King. I have never seen The Lion King.
How's that possible?
And I almost wish I'd not seen Armageddon.
Yeah, me too.
I always remember from the time before it came out, I'm sure they played the movie at Cannes and Bruce Willis's nose was out of joint because the critics started laughing at the part in the movie where he was kind of saying his goodbye to his daughter. It's played by Liv Tyler. Cause he was about to also get blown up, and apparently people were falling about laughing.
And then you've got the funny thing that Liv Tyler is making love with Ben Affleck to her dad singing.
No.
Yeah, it's in no way creepy.
Yeah.
Dad doesn't want to miss a thing. It's like, well, maybe you do on this occasion, mate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Stay away from those animal crackers.
Oh God, yeah. And I'm guessing. I think the Phantom Menace, did that not end up taking more than Jurassic Park? But maybe the film is still on release at the time, being that was 1999, perhaps?
Maybe because I guess was it Phantom Menace? Was that the summer? It was the summer, wasn't it? Was it summer? Summer of 99. So it might have not overtaken it in those 6 months. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that The Matrix isn't in the top 10 then.
Yeah,
because that was the better film from the summer.
It was.
In the year 1991, of course, when the Prince album came out. So we've done 1991 before in a couple of the shows. So this time we thought we'd do births and deaths this year. So we'll maybe start with the deaths. Obviously, can't go without mentioning Freddie Mercury tragically died. Gene Roddenberry, of course, Star Trek, and Lee Remick, an actress.
She was in Omen.
Damien, yeah.
The sequel, Omen 2, yeah.
She was in that. And people born this year were Emma Roberts, the actress, Eden Hazard, the footballer, former Chelsea footballer, and Ed Sheeran.
Right.
So that was some of the births and deaths of what is now over 30 years ago.
Hard to
I now
believe.
feel like an old man.
I know. It feels like yesterday.
Ed Sheeran, 91.
I know, it's scary.
Yeah.
It really is. Girls and boys, it's time to trim the talk, the feature where we are all asked the same questions and have to answer them all in 3 minutes or less. So, gentlemen, are you ready?
Born ready.
Born ready. And we're off.
3 minutes start now.
So, describe Prince in 3 words.
How did I do this?
That's 5 words.
Describe genius, prolific, exciting.
Innovative, dirty, man.
Okay,
well, he was.
Small prolific genius.
Yes.
Have you seen Prince live?
Unfortunately not.
No.
I have 4 times, and we'll talk a wee bit about that later. I was obviously just greedy. Your favourite Prince album?
Sign of the Times.
The one after Purple Rain?
Around the World in a Day?
Yeah, that one.
Yep,
Great album.
That's my favourite. Favourite Prince song?
That changes from day to day, but yesterday when I talked to you, it was Most Beautiful Girl in the World. But today, I'm edging towards Gold.
I would say
2 minutes left.
the one that was on the compilation album.
Oh, Peach.
Peach. Yeah, Peach.
Great rock song.
Fantastic song. Great rock guitar.
Great tune. I'm going to be very obvious, but it is maybe my all-time favourite song, along with Hey Jude, which is Purple Rain. So what were guests doing at the time of release? October 1991. Marv?
Yep, I was... well, actually, the work that I was doing in the recording studio as a tape-op, that was at the same time as I was doing a course in business administration, and I met my other half at that time, Louise.
What was I doing? Well, I was in high school. I would have been probably just enjoying all the albums coming out at that time, getting all the albums.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses and Nirvana and so on.
I was at that point just a few months into my first ever full-time job. When and where did you first hear the album?
1 minute remaining.
I heard the album when I purchased it, so that would have been late 91, early 92. I loved it from the first time I put the needle down on it.
Needle to the record, let's go. Okay, Paul?
I probably first heard it when you'd got the album, the CD.
You would have heard it lots of times. I played it to death. I would have bought it on day of release, brought it home on the bus, and played it on my CD player.
30 seconds to go.
Favourite track from the album?
Money Don't Matter Tonight, because of the music. It's got some beautiful chord changes on there.
Cream?
screen. I would go for Get Off. Least favourite track from the album?
Insatiable.
Go Strolling, that one.
Oh, really? I thought you would have went Insatiable.
Wow.
I'm going Insatiable as well. And album rating at 5.
I'm tempted to give it a 5, even though I have dislike of Insatiable.
Okay.
It'd be 5 out of 5 if that song wasn't on there.
Well, we can make that happen, Marv. Stay with us. Paul?
2.5.
Oh.
Controversial.
Ooh.
Aye.
Ooh, I can hear the emails coming.
Oh, so can I see the pitchforks and flaming torches. I would give it 4. Paul, you gave it 2.5, and you're obviously coming to from a different angle than myself and Marv. Maybe just give us your thoughts overall on that album as you recently re-listened to it.
I remember listening to the album at the time. I hadn't heard it for years. A lot of it just sounds of its time. So when you listen to it now, it just sounds quite dated. But I do like there is a sort of theatrical side to it as well, like the opening track. It's a bit kind of over the top, a bit like Jim Steinman type. So it's almost like a 90s version of that. And who knows, maybe that inspired them to do Bat Out of Hell 2 a couple of years later. But it does sound quite dated now. That's what I would say. But catchy songs on it, good singles. But for me, it's trying too much to be like he's trying too hard to be relevant rather than just being himself. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the worst parts are when the new generation do all the rapping and stuff. That's when it becomes really dated.
Okay. What about you, Marv?
Because there's an outtake that I like that actually is mainly rapping. Actually, I think it's called something like, is it called "Call the Law"? One of the outtakes.
Yeah.
Which is basically just rapping all the way through by Tony M.
That's right.
But some absolutely awesome guitar work by Prince on that one, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the background. I can see where Paul's coming from in a way where he sort of was getting on the shall we say the hip hop rap bandwagon, so to speak, but at the same time, I think he was trying to do something different with it that would eventually, I don't know, it'd lead to what we've got now, basically, in a way where a lot of the music in the pop world at the moment, say Beyonce and particularly Jay-Z and Kanye West, is like, rapping but with the soulful funk rock styling almost in the background with real musicians.
Yeah.
Actually, a better example of that would probably be Black Eyed Peas. Mm-hmm. Where you've got a real musical band in the back, but you've got these people at the front who do the different bits. You've got essentially, you've got the Rosie Gaines of the new power generation with what's her name in Black Eyed Peas, and then you got
Fergie,
the Tony M. Yeah, Fergie is the Black Eyed Peas answer to Rosie Gaines, with the incredible, powerful voice, but can also, equal what rapping that Tony M's doing as well. When you get things like when she's rapping on both Jughead and Get Off, when she starts rapping on some of the songs, and definitely Push, she really shows a strength there with that. So it was almost the Black Eyed Peas 20 years before the Black Eyed Peas. I can see how it could be seen as dated and him following a thing, but then again, he was always influenced by multiple styles and wanted to experiment with these things anyway.
Yeah, I think there was obviously a lot more of a rap, hip hop, New Jack influence on it, and for me, I think it's an excellent album. I played it to death when it came out. It was actually the first Prince album I bought on release, and I bought it as a CD as opposed to a cassette or vinyl. And actually, talking of vinyl, I really hoped they would have done something for the 30th anniversary of that album last year. Not least just to re-release it on record, because I don't have it on record. So I'm hoping that's something they'll remedy. But I remember it being a really important album for Prince after the disappointment of Graffiti Bridge, critically and commercially. There was a lot riding on this for him, because that was maybe the first time there was talk of him perhaps being not past it, but a bit passé as you know, this big star of the 80s. We're now into the 90s. Did he still have it? And I just remember there being a lot of buzz around this before it came out, because unusually he'd released 2 singles prior to it, Get Off and Cream, rather than just one single. Both were big hits. The videos were very popular as well for both of them. And it was obviously the first time since the Revolution that Prince actually had a new band that was named on the material as well, obviously the NPG. And at the same time, he'd also written and produced some new hit songs for Martika too. Was it Love Fi Will Be Done and Martika's Kitchen? Both very good songs, especially Love Fi Will Be Done, great tune. So yeah, it was very much Prince going for a hit album. Everything was to sell, to be as accessible as it could be. And for me, it's maybe not quite top tier Prince like Purple Rain, Around the World in a Day, or Sign of the Times, but it's a very entertaining album with Prince having that refreshed sound courtesy of the NPG, having that hip hop influence and the rap in there. There's good variety, as you always get on the Prince album: pop, rock, jazz. As you've mentioned already, Marv, I think Rosie Gaines brings so much to this album, and she almost gets as much vocal time as Prince on this album. She's all over it, and it really makes a difference. And maybe perhaps I don't regard it as top tier, because I always did think it was maybe a couple of songs too long, and maybe the sound of it is firmly rooted in that early 90s sound, as opposed to his other material, which, especially his 80s stuff, which I think sounds a bit more timeless, maybe things like Parade and Love Sexy, Sign of the Times. However, for me, it is his best album of the 90s. I don't think I could make an argument for anything else. So big fan of it.
When I was researching it, because I've also researched. Hey, I've done research. Initially, the original running order of it was actually going to make it more of a rap album, apparently, where you wouldn't have had the more pop oriented songs, like the title track, for instance, wasn't on there, and Cream wasn't on there, and basically it was all the hip hop material, you know, that was on there essentially. So in a way, you've got the two sides. I mean, he was still recording those other songs, so do you think it would have worked more if they'd have been separated into their two different halves, and it'd have stayed with that original plan of doing a more hip-hop oriented album and then following it up with the more poppy side material that he was doing at the time?
It's a great question. For me, you're perhaps getting the best of both worlds with this one single album. And obviously, you like Paul are Queen fans, and that's for me is one of the things I loved about Queen as well. Is you got so much variety on every album that they put out. They were always changing, and you never just stayed in the same kind of mode or zone. And that's one of the strengths of this album, that it does stylistically go to different places, which keeps it interesting. And I don't know if a full kind of rap album would have been as what was released. And then by the same token, if he had maybe done a more poppy one, would people have seen it as being a bit passé from him by not incorporating some newer sounds?
Yeah.
Maybe so he made the right decision. What about you, Marv? What do you think?
I think he made the right decision, and I'll follow that up with I think he made the right decision about the 2 songs to lead off with as well as advertising.
Oh yeah,
because it's perfect advertising to show you the extremes of we go from this to this.
Absolutely.
And it's an incredible 1-2 punch with those 2 singles to lead off.
And just to take that a step further, the third single being the title track as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've kind of covered all bases, haven't you? You've got the kind of rap club type stuff. You've got the commercial rock song, and then you've got the upbeat ballad.
Absolutely.
So you've kind of ticked all the boxes there, and I know for me, thinking back to that time, in terms of friends who would buy a Prince album, this would be the one that they would have bought back in the day, because I think the singles were popular and there was good variety in there. So I do remember a couple of friends buying it, and who, other than maybe greatest hits, would never ever bought another Prince album.
I was going to say, if it's still recording, in passing, if you are after a great hits-related compilation by Prince, the hits and the B-sides is a fantastic set.
Yep.
A bit dated because of when it came out, and he'd come out with stuff since then, but it's an incredible set. And then you get the B-sides, and you realise that there's so much more to him than there is on the albums.
Totally agree, and actually a lot of the stuff that was on that third disc I hadn't managed to get beforehand. So the Tears in Your Eyes, the one he done for was it USA for Africa, was it?
Yep. And I think Pope, which is a B-side, that is an incredible dance song. That's fantastic.
God,
Yep.
17 Days.
Yep.
What else was on there? Was it ever Scarlet Pussy?
Yes.
And Irresistible Bitch, maybe was on there.
He likes his cats and dogs, doesn't he?
Erotic City.
Do you think Irresistible Bitch should have been on 1999?
Yes, I do. You
Yes,
think so?
I do.
Yeah,
I do think that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I have to say, I think a lot of Prince's B-sides were incredible.
Yeah.
And I think he just done so much material. It was good that he had an outlet for them. But I mean, 17 Days, Erotic City is great. Feel You Up, another nice family-friendly one. Feel You Up,
from 1999 sessions again.
Yeah, Feel You Up. I Love You and Me.
Yep.
Another family favourite one. What's the B-side Sign of the Times? La La La, He 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 is brilliant.
Yeah.
La La La, He He He.
Tongue in cheek.
Yes. But yeah, no, yeah, I totally agree with you. That third disc of material was absolutely tremendous. And it's nice to buy a greatest hits like that, where yes, the singles are brilliant, but you got this added disc which was just a real treasure trove of stuff.
That might have been the second or third Prince album that I bought, actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I don't know why. I just saw it and I thought, oh, that looks good. And I like value for money, so I bought that, and it was an eye opener. But for somebody who'd only been listening to Prince's albums rather than songs,
yeah,
you know, it was a real eye opener of a set.
So I am the only one here that was fortunate enough to see Prince live. So normally what we would do is an artist live. We would just kind of talk a little bit about what the experience was like. So I guess you guys are going to have to just listen to me for this part then. So I saw Prince 4 times, and the first time I've seen him live was on the tour for the Diamonds and Pearls album, funnily enough.
Wow.
And the show was near the end of that tour in June 1992 at Celtic Park in Glasgow. And it was one of the best concerts I have ever been to. And he just had everything, the singing, dancing, playing multiple instruments. But, I mean, what a guitarist. Incredible. The energy levels of him and NPG was just something else. I mean, they were just so well drilled. And at that particular show, they played almost every song from the Diamonds and Pearls album. In fact, they only didn't play 2 songs, and they were Money Don't Matter Tonight, funnily enough, and Walk Don't Walk. They were the only 2 songs that didn't play. And they finished with the show with Push, which was brilliant. What a concert.
They played Strolling.
They did, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, my favourite.
Yeah, played Strolling. Yeah. It's funny though, when you obviously go into Setlist FM to look back on what songs were played, and you're like, oh, he played Strolling. I was there. I don't remember him doing Strolling, but he did Strolling, which is rather bizarre. Yeah, so it was very, very heavily weighted towards that current album, but the whole production felt geared towards that album, and it did feel like a cohesive concert experience because of that. It did feel new band, new album, and it was all I think everything was built towards that purpose at those particular shows, and it really, really worked. They were a great band. And I got to see him again the following year, in 1993 in July, in Edinburgh at Meadowbank Stadium, and this was the tour for 1992's Symbol album, and it was another excellent show. And actually, the set list was better than the previous years because it was a bit more of an all-round career retrospective, as opposed to just concentrating on the current album. So the set list was better, some brilliant songs played, but it didn't feel maybe as complete as the previous year's show. It was a bit more of a ragtag type thing. It was still then PG, but they didn't have Rosie Gaines anymore. I think she left at the end of the Diamonds and Pearls tour. So still an excellent show, but yeah, maybe just didn't quite seem as a full-on show as previously. And they only played 2 Diamonds and Pearls songs on that at that concert. And would you believe it was the title track? And do you want to guess?
Cream.
Strolling.
Strolling. I was going to say, I mean, it would have been difficult. Oh dear me, what a song to pick! Wow, but it would have been difficult in a way because, like you said, Rosie's voice is all over the place on the Diamonds and Pearls album.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would arguably say that of the bands that he's had backing him and the girls that he's had singing in those backing bands, I think she's actually the best vocalist he's ever had in a band with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah, she had an incredible voice. But yeah, Strolling, I nearly choked on my cornflakes when I was looking through the set list for that.
I wish I was there.
What, he done it again? I got to see Strolling live twice. How about that, guys?
Dear me. Did they do 7 and 3 Chains of Gold?
No, I don't think he did 3 Chains of Gold. I think he did 7. I'm pretty sure he did 7. He only did, if I remember correctly, 5 songs from the Symbol album, which were Sex AMF, My Name is Prince, maybe 7. I'm struggling to remember what the other 2 were, but...
Sacrifice of Victor?
No, in fact, I'm going to look it up. I'm looking it up right now because it'll annoy me if I don't.
It's annoying me now.
Yeah, definitely Sex AMF. He actually did Sex AMF at the Glasgow show the year before, even though the song and album hadn't come out. They'd already done the video for the single, and they'd actually kept playing that while we were waiting on the band coming on. And one of the, if something's a really good song, when people immediately latch onto it and go, that is really, really good. So by the time he'd done it live, we felt like we knew the song and everybody was singing along with it, even though it wasn't even released.
We're going on a tangent again here, aren't we?
We are.
Because I'm about to say that's a beautiful guitar solo in that song by Levi.
Yeah, jazzy central, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very almost George Benson-ish, but without his singing over the top of it.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant
So
song.
Yeah.
Just the James Brown kind of trump, the horns.
Yes. Yeah.
I like it. Ah, superb.
If you search, there's video of me actually singing along to that.
Oh, very good. Right, here are the symbol songs. So he started with My Name is Prince, which I love. He then did Sex AMF. Then did another one from the album, Love to the Nines.
Yeah.
Before he did, oh my God. That's where I look back and think, come on. The Beautiful Ones, Let's Go Crazy, Kiss, Irresistible Bitch. But his mum? No, it's not. She's always in my hair. Raspberry Beret. Sometimes It Snows in April. The Cross. Oh, remember that being amazing. The Cross.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of the show, if I remember. He did The Cross, and as that song ended, he just went straight into Sign of the Times. And let me tell you, Marv, when it did that beginning the Sign of the Times, that just rattled your bones. The bass was so deep as that kicked off. Then he did Purple Rain.
So, Sign of the Times is one where I wish I'd have actually seen him do that live, because I've heard that, obviously not having seen him do it live in person, I've heard that he sort of had the backing track and it's him on stage to the backing track.
Yes.
And then there's an incredible power when suddenly the actual band join in and add to that backing track live. And there's just like this enormous, I don't know how to explain it, almost an explosion of sound.
Yep. It was, well, certainly at this concert, I just remember the Cross, which I love, finishing, and Sign of the Times starting, and just the beginning of that, when then the drums kick, boom, 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 and the drum, it just doesn't get much better than that. And then he did Purple Rain after.
Ooh. Wow.
Oh, yeah, and we still had, and then another symbol song, And God Created Women, Diamonds and Pearls, Little Red Corvette, Strolling, Scandalous, Girls and Boys, then Seven. And I think what else? We've still got 1999, Baby I'm a Star, America. Oh, what a show. And that wasn't the best one either.
Right.
So that was the two. I then got to see him just under 2 years later in 1995. This was when he was now the Taffcat, the artist formerly known as Prince. So I got to see him at the Glasgow SEC in March 1995. So it was nice to see him at the indoor arena rather than at a stadium. However, as he wasn't Prince anymore, the set list was pretty much made up of his upcoming unreleased Gold album and cover versions. And again, just my opinion, the Gold album to me is decent, but I don't regard it as a Prince classic. And obviously it hadn't come out yet, so everybody was unfamiliar with the songs other than The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, which is obviously a number one song.
That needs trimming.
It's
become a good album.
It does, absolutely. That's maybe a future episode right there. So I think overall it meant it was a good concert, but not a great concert because of those kind of conditions. And I am so thankful that I got to see him one more time after that, in nearly 20 years later, on his Hit and Run Tour Part 2 at the Glasgow SEC Hydro in May 2014. And I have to say it's maybe my favourite concert I've ever been to. I love this. So it was Prince and Third Eye Girl. And it was just them performing. There was no gimmicks, no fancy stage lighting. It was basically the man, his band, and his music. The set list was amazing. It was a great crowd. I was near the front as well. He played 32 songs, and it was a respective set. And how about this for the opening 6 songs? This was the opening 6 songs. Let's Go Crazy, Take Me With You, Raspberry Beret, You Got the Look, Musicology, and Kiss.
Wow.
So you've got 2 American number 1s and 2 American number 2s in that first 6. And that was the first 6. So I was there with a few friends from work who were big Prince fans as well. And we just kept looking at each other, smiling the entire show. And if a word describes it, we were just kind of giddy. And that's what a great concert should do to you, shouldn't it? It just makes you happy. We just couldn't believe it. It was just an absolute dream.
32 songs.
Yeah, I think maybe there was a medley where maybe 6 or 7 of them were truncated, but it was a long kind of set list, that's for sure. But one of the nice things about it though was some of the surprises that were thrown in there, let me think. Sometimes It Snows in April.
Wow.
Which was thrown in there. And what was the other one? So he finished with something, Hot Thing from Sign of the Times. Which was just bizarre. That's what he finished with. But, just some of the other stuff that was in there. When Doves Cry, Sign of the Times, Forever in My Life from Sign of the Times. I Would Die for You. Yeah, he put that in there, and it was brilliant. It was really, really good. It was literally just, if I remember correctly, it kind of came to the front of this little side stage with a keyboard, and he just started riffing on that riff, dum 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 dum, la da 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 da, and he just started riffing on that on his keyboard, playing around with it. Then went into the song, and it was brilliant. And then after we got Controversy, 1999, Little Red Corvette, Nothing Compares to You, Guitar. What other ones did we get? Sometimes It Snows in April, Diamonds and Pearls, The Beautiful Ones, Purple Rain, Play That Funky Music, Housequake, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, Alphabet Street, Pop Life, If I Was Your Girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how good is that? That's just an absolute dream of a set list. So, yeah, absolutely 10 out of 10 show, that one. Loved it. And that's my Prince concert experience.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it really, really was. Let's go crazy and tell some Prince-related jokes. So, Marv, do you have any Prince jokes for us?
Well, you know how to find the new power generation when it's been snowing, don't you? It's to look for the Prince.
Oh, very good.
What's Paul got for us?
Come on, Paul.
Okay. How is Colonel Sanders like Prince? All he's really concerned with is legs, breasts, and thighs.
What does Prince do on vacation? 12 women. I actually had one here that was actually very similar to your NPG one, Marv. So why did the CSI team get called to the set of the Purple Rain video shoot? They needed to dust for Prince.
What does Prince take in his coffee?
I don't know.
Cream.
So Prince was a Jehovah's Witness. He used to bring a Bible when he went knocking on doors as a Jehovah's Witness, so he could stand on it to reach the doorbell. And there we go. There's our Prince jokes.
la 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 la.